Here we are again. Here we are again. Here we go. This is Caleb Jones, and this is the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. And today I'm going to discuss a topic that is contentious, that I get a lot of pushback on, that I see a lot of confusion about, that guys challenge me on all the time. And this will be kind of fun because I've discussed this topic enough times where I know what the objections are and what the questions are so I can address them all in this podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that is the concept that the 1 to 10 attractiveness scale that men use to rate women's looks is stupid and useless. Literally, it is stupid and it is useless. I've written articles about this. I have debated this online with various people. I'm right about this. And by the end of this podcast, you will understand why I'm right about this. The 1 to 10 scale, when you look at a woman, and I'm gonna describe this, I'm gonna give you all of my rationale and all the reasons, all the fact-based, objective-based reasons. Then I will address all the complaints and the questions and the counter-arguments I get to this, because there are a lot of them, but I have answers for all of them because I'm right about this. So I do not use a 1 to 10 scale. I use a 4-level scale that I will get to in a few minutes. Some of you already know what this is. But the 1 to 10 scale, when you look at a woman and say she's an 8, she's a 9, she's a 7, she's a 6, she's a 9.2, she's a 9.5, she's a 10. Or guys argue about 10s. They say there is no such thing as a 10. There are only 9s with makeup. Or 10s are very rare and they only exist in Hollywood. And so guys argue about 10s too. When you assign a 1 to 10 figure for a woman's physical appearance, I submit to you, and I'm right about this, and I'm going to prove that I'm right about this in a few minutes, that that number only has meaning within your own head. It doesn't have any meaning with any other guy outside of you. And I will prove this. I come out of, as many of you know, I come out of the pickup artist world, okay? And in the pickup artist world, historically, and they still do this today on forums and Discord servers and Telegram groups and things like that, Facebook groups, what they will do, what they used to do, and they still do this, is they'll put a picture of a girl. They'll slap a picture of some chick and they'll say, what do you think she is? What rating do you think she is? I think she's an 8, or I think she's an 8.5, or I think she's a 7. And when you get the responses, you will see very clearly this happens. Every time you will get literally 0 consensus on what her number is. I could do it right now. On the YouTube version of this video, I won't do it. But I could slap up a picture of a woman right now, a random picture off Google image search, and slap it up and say, okay guys, what's her number? And all of you guys would leave comments and not one of you would agree on the exact number. You would get no consensus. You have guys say, oh my God, she's a 9. You have another guy say, no, she's not a 9. What are you, idiot? She's a 7. And you'll have another guy say, she's not a 7, she's an 8.5. Another guy say, no, she's not, she's a 6. Look at her nose. How can you possibly have a nose like that and be an 8.5? And the 8.5 guys say, what the fuck? Her nose is perfect. What the fuck is your problem? She is an 8.5. Okay, maybe she's an 8.2, but she's not a 6. What the fuck are you smoking? And you're gonna get all these fucking arguments that I have seen thousands of times on the internet. There will be no consensus. Therefore, if there's no consensus on what a woman is, the 1 to 10 scale doesn't mean anything. If I tell you last night I fucked an 8, that is absolutely meaningless information. All that means is I had sex with a woman that I, Caleb Jones, consider an 8. You might consider her a 6. Some of you might consider her a 10 or a 9. And I've seen these examples when I've done live seminars in the past. I've shown pictures of women up on the board using a projector, and I will ask the audience, okay, what do you think? I think she's about an 8. Some guy will say, no, man, she's a 10. Oh my God, she's perfect. And some other guy, what the fuck? She's not a 10. She's a 6. She's ugly. Now, let me explain why that happens. It happens for a very specific scientific reason. Every guy is into different things. Right? Right. So some guys like women with big tits. That's me. I like women with big tits. Love them. There are other guys who think big tits are disgusting. They actually are turned off by big tits. They like small tits. You guys like small tits should move to Japan. Or places like Japan. We have hordes of gorgeous women with really small tits. You'll be in heaven over there if you like pretty girls with small tits. You guys like small tits. Some guys like women who have big tits, but that are natural. They don't like fake tits. Other guys prefer the porn star stripper look of fake tits, right? So if a woman walks around topless with her big natural tits, the natural guys will be like, damn, she's hot. And the guys who prefer, the up and tight, round, perfectly circular boobs go, oh, those are gross, they sag, they're disgusting, ew, sick, right? If you were curious, I happen to like big tits. I don't care if they're fake or real, as long as they don't sag too low. My wife has gigantic triple D tits, even though she's a size 0 or close to a size 2, whatever she is. And that is hot to me. Now, some guys think that's disgusting, right? Some guys will look at a woman like my wife who has literally perfect tits. By the way, Pink Firefly's tits are literally perfect. They are perfect. They are literally perfect. But some guys will say they will look too perfect, they look fake, blah, 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 they're too big, they're gross, what have you. Now, if you have men who like big tits and other men who like small tits, it is therefore impossible to pick an individual woman and assign a specific number to her. If she has big tits and you say she's an 8, all the guys who think big tits are gross are going to say she's not an 8, she's a 5 at best, right? And vice versa. This happens all the time in my world. Some guy will post a picture of some supermodel who has, B-cup boobs and say, this is a perfect 10. And I'm ready to throw up because I think small tits are actually a turnoff. I literally get turned off when a woman's boobs are very small. When a woman has like an A cup, like she's basically flat-chested, that is actually a turnoff to me. It is actually difficult for me to get sexually aroused when a woman is flat-chested because to me it feels like she looks like a boy. Now that's me. Some guys think flat-chested women are fucking hot as hell. Great, every guy likes something different. But my point is, if you point at a woman with, size A boobs, almost flat-chested with mosquito bites, and say, oh my God, she is so hot, she's an 8, she's a 9, I'm gonna go puke. I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. Here's a great example. I'll give you several examples. I'll give you celebrity examples because we all know who these people are. There are guys who think that Ariana Grande is a 9 or a 10. I wouldn't touch Ariana Grande with a 10-foot fucking pole. You know why? Do I think she's ugly? No, she has a very pretty face. She's beautiful from the neck up. From the neck down, she looks like a 9-year-old. She looks like a goddamn 9-year-old. She has no tits, no ass, no hips. Disgusting to me. Now, some of you sick fuckers love that little girl look, and that's fine. A lot of you think that what I think is hot is disgusting. I like big asses and big hips and big titties. I like an exaggerated curvy look. Some guys think that's disgusting, and that's okay. But the point is, because you and I have such radically different tastes, there is no possible way to assign a number to a woman and have it be accurate. I have literally seen guys who say this is an objective 10. There's no such thing as an objective 10 because guys like different things. It's literally impossible. When you assign a woman a number, the only person that number has any real validity with is you. So when you say this woman is an 8.2, what you're really saying is I, as an individual man, no one else, considers this woman an 8.2. You may consider her higher or lower because your taste in women are different. Do you see how that renders the entire 1 to 10 scale as completely fucking useless? If there's no consensus on a specific number, because every guy is into different things, it's a useless way to measure a woman's physical attractiveness. So with that in mind, now that I've convinced you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the 1 to 10 system is bullshit, and I know you guys will have objections, I'll address those in a minute, I'm going to give you an alternate system, a system that I have used for many, many years, okay? This is a much more accurate system, and let me describe why this system is more accurate. When you put a picture of a woman in front of a bunch of guys on the internet, and they rate her with their 1 to 10 numbers, and there's no consensus whatsoever on the actual number, do you get consensus on whether or not she's attractive? The answer is yes. So, if I were to put up picture of a woman, a random celebrity, and slap it up here right now and say, okay guys, I think this woman is about an 8. What do you think? You would get no consensus on the specific 8 number, or very little consensus. Okay, you just wouldn't. But what you would get consensus on is most guys would rate her at the higher end. Some guys would say she's an 8.5. Some guys would say she's a 10. Some guys would say she's a 9. Some guys would say she's a 7. Now there'd be a few guys, a statistically small sample of guys, who would say she's a 1 or a 2 or a 4, but those would be statistical anomalies. The vast majority of men would indeed rate her at the higher end. the higher end of the range. I just said that I do think Ariana Grande is attractive and that she has a very pretty face. But I would never rate her anywhere near a 10 because she doesn't have the type of body I like. But I would never rate Ariana Grande as a 2. That would be just silly of me, right? It wouldn't make any sense. She is objectively attractive in certain areas. We're just going to disagree on the specific number because, again, we have different tastes. So same thing if I were to put up a woman who is kind of cute. If I were to put up a woman who's kind of cute, I'm going to get some consensus from you say, yeah, she's cute. She's not hot, but she's cute. If I were to put up a picture of an average woman, most of you, not all of you, but most of you say, yeah, she's about average. She's not hot, she's not cute, she's about average, not ugly. Now, a few of you would say she's cute, and a few of you would say she's ugly, but the majority would agree within that average range. Does that make sense? So, a much more accurate and useful rating system for how women look is a 4-level rating system that I've used for many years, I've talked about before, and that is ugly, average, cute, and hot. So if I put up a picture of a woman and I say, I think she's hot, do you think she's hot, cute, average, or ugly? I'm going to get a lot of consensus on, yeah, she's hot. A few guys will say she's cute, yes, but a lot of them will say she's hot. I will not get this completely disparate battle of different numbers based on her 1 to 10 rating, but I am going to get some consensus on whether or not she is cute or hot or average or ugly. I also don't need to explain it. So some guys say, well, an 8, okay, what does an 8 mean to you, right? This happens all the time with guys, both on the internet and with interpersonal conversation. Okay, she's a 7. I think she's a 7, but what do you consider a 7? Like, give me an example, right? You have to do that because the 1 to 10 scale is so goddamn useless, right? Guys have to explain, well, a 6 to me means this. Well, a 5 means this. Well, an 8 means this. Well, 10 means this. Do I have to explain to you what hot means? No, I don't. I really don't, okay? Do I have to explain to you what cute means? Not really. Maybe a little more explanation than hot, but most of you understand cute versus hot, right? Most of you get that. Do I have to explain to you what average looking means? No. Do I have to explain to you what ugly means? No, I don't. So we have instant comprehension among anyone we use when we use these 4 levels. Average, ugly, cute, or hot. The worst case scenario you might get is you might have 1 or 2 guys argue over whether or not a woman is hot or cute. Sometimes you'll see that, but even then you'll get more consensus than not on whether a woman is cute or hot. Make sense? Very simple. When you use that phraseology, average, ugly, cute, hot, it takes away all the arguments and all the complaining and all the explanations. It actually makes it a useful way to describe women to other men. You see how this works? Now, let me get to the excuses and the objections, and I will answer all of them. Well, Caleb, all you're doing is you're basically using the 1 to 10 system. You're just saying it a different way. So what you're saying is 8 to 10 is hot, 7 or 7 to 6 is cute, and 5 to 4 is average, and 3 or below is ugly. That's all you're doing. Wrong. Wrong. Who said that 8 to 10 is hot? Some guys might consider 7 hot. Matter of fact, I know they do. So wrong. You, again, once again, arbitrarily put in your own subjective opinion on what 1 to 10 numbers equate to hot. You see what you just did? So wrong, no. I don't use any numbers. Now here's what I do. I do use numbers sometimes in my own head because those numbers work in my own head, but they don't work outside of my head, which leads me to the very next objection I've seen. The guys will say, well, Caleb, that's bullshit. When you go to the doctor and you're in pain, the doctor will ask you, on a scale from 1 to 10, how intense is your pain? Well, Caleb, do you think doctors are wrong? No, you just proved my point. They asked you what your pain is. They asked you to rank your pain. A doctor would never sit you down and point at a guy down the hall and say, what is his pain ranking on a scale from 1 to 10? That would be insane, right? That is exactly what you're doing when you point at a woman and you tell a bunch of other men, that woman is a 9. That is exactly what you're doing. You're saying, that woman is a 9. You all should think she's a 9. And if you disagree with me, you're a moron. Wrong. So yes, let me repeat what I said earlier. The 1 to 10 scale for a woman's attractiveness does work in your own head. So you, by yourself, all by yourself, you could be a total, Mark Zuckerberg nerd and come up with a spreadsheet and list every woman you know and put in her 1 to 10 ranking in a column next to her name. And that spreadsheet would be 100% accurate to you. Not to me, not to your brother, not to your best friend, not to your buddy on the internet, not to your dad. These men would all use different numbers for these women. See how this works? 1 to 10 works fine internally. 1 to 10 is useless when you put it outside of your brain and into the world. Okay? Now, here's the next objection I get on this. Caleb, you don't understand science and you don't understand biology. You need to understand that there are specific scientific biological factors that attract men in terms of women's physical appearance. For example, hip to bust ratio and facial symmetry and things of that nature. So obviously, Caleb, you don't understand these things. Wrong. I am not denying any of this. If a woman has an ideal hip to bust ratio and an ideal facial symmetry, she's probably going to be hot. At a bare minimum, she's going to be cute, right? So no, that doesn't violate any of those things. There are scientific biological factors, yes, in women's physical appearance that attract them to men. Of course that's true. If a woman is skinnier versus very overweight, she will be more attractive to more men, and the odds are higher she will be on the cute and hot range rather than the average or ugly range, right? If a woman is 400 pounds, she's probably, unfortunately for her, going to be in the ugly range, right? Even if she has a, quote, pretty face. That is correct. There are biological factors that attract men to certain things on a woman. That does not conflict with anything I have said in this podcast. Not one thing. Of course there are those factors. Has nothing to do with the arbitrary and subjective 1 to 10 ranking that you're applying to women who have a perfect facial symmetry and a perfect hip to bust ratio. I will say this again. I'll say it a different way. If you brought a woman in who was 23 years old and was beautiful and had perfect facial symmetry scientifically and perfect hip to bust ratio or whatever fucking ratio you think is important, okay, fine, and you had 25 men look at her, and we asked all 25 men to give her a 1 to 10 ranking, once again, you would get zero consensus or virtually zero consensus. The vast majority of the people in that room would disagree on a specific number. You would not be able to get a specific number. But if you said, is this woman cute or hot? You would get a decent amount of consensus. I would bet you money more than 50% would say she's one or the other, hot or cute. You get a lot more consensus under my model with these perfect scientific factors than you would with the 1 to 10 scale. Next thing I will say is, matter of fact, I've had some guys actually send me links to studies they've done or surveys and things like that. They'll say, Caleb, you're wrong. There is consensus on this. You will see consensus. Look at this link where they ranked a bunch of girls. And they will show that, 1/3 rated them a 9, 1/3 rated her an 8, and 20% or whatever rated her a 7. Okay, great. Is that consensus? No. They'll say, well, look, lots of guys ranked her a 9. Lots of guys, 1/3. That's not I have news for you. You might have to work on your math skills. 1/3 is not consensus. Even if it was 40% of men ranked her as a 9, a little more consensus, but it's still not really consensus. Under my structure, if you were to just put up a picture of a hot girl, really hot celebrity, and say, is this woman average, ugly, cute, or hot? You would get well more than 50% who would say she's hot or cute, depending on who it is. You would. Now, I'm going to throw in a few weird curveballs to this. There are indeed societal factors. So, many centuries ago, the Rubenesque woman was in vogue. And so it was actually, if a woman was overweight, she was actually considered more attractive. And this was because people who were overweight denoted people who had wealth, and the typical person was starving all the time. And so most people were skinny, so they viewed that as attractive. There are societal factors. I've talked a lot about societal programming, and yes, societal programming is a factor. For example, and this is probably my favorite example and the most stark example of societal programming twisting men's sexual preferences. And that is the example of Paris Hilton about 20 years ago during probably the early to mid 2000s when she was the hot celebrity chick that she was. Paris Hilton is fucking ugly. Sorry, she's ugly. She looks like goddamn Snoopy. Now, maybe I'm overstated by saying she's ugly. Maybe she's average. But what did society do for many, many, many years, about 15, 20 years ago? What they did is they shoved her in your face. They shoved her in men's face and said, look, she's hot, right? She's hot. She's hot. Is this hot? She's hot. This woman is hot. Look, she's hot. Look, hot. Look, she's hot. Look, there she is bending over a car. Look, she has no hips and no ass and no tits. And her face looks like Snoopy. But that's fucking hot, right? Hot. Isn't that hot? Isn't she fucking hot? Hot. Matter of fact, Paris Hilton was a big contributing factor to this. She was very, very good at self-branding until Kim Kardashian came along and blew it into the stratosphere. So she was also a factor in this. But that's what society did. And guess what? It kind of worked. You had millions of men all over the earth going, okay, Paris Hilton's hot. Now, why'd they think that? Did they think that because they really thought that, or did they think that because they were told to think that? They were told to think that in most cases. Paris Hilton isn't attractive at all. Not at all. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say she's not attractive at all. I'm probably overstating it. I'm kind of overstating it the other way. But you get my point. Another example, and most of you won't be aware of this because most of you are young, during the 1950s, women who were attractive were like the Marilyn Monroe template. So women who were not skinny, had boobs, had very visible round hips. They weren't fat, they weren't chubby, but they were on the border as compared to today. And in the 1960s, for some reason, for whatever reason society woke up and said, no, you're supposed to like this. And they introduced a woman called Twiggy, this little teeny tiny skinny little chick. And they shoved her in men's face and they said, look, she's hot. Look, super skinny is hot. Isn't this awesome? Hot, hot, hot. Matter of fact, Bill Maher has an entire stand-up comedian bit about this, how men said, okay, if I'm supposed to think that's hot, I guess I'll fuck it. Because men will fuck anything, right? Right. So that was another example. So there are societal factors. Today, a good example might be someone like, oh, I don't know, who would be a good example of this? Not as stark as like Paris Hilton, but Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is cute or average depending on your opinion, okay? I think she's average, maybe cute. So, but a lot of you think she's hot because for a long time, there's been a lot of societal conditioning that says Jennifer Lawrence is fucking hot, right? Right. So there are societal factors, but those still don't modify what I'm saying. Those societal factors don't suddenly make the 1 to 10 scale suddenly make sense. Because it doesn't, you will still have no consensus or very little consensus on specific numbers. You'll have a lot more consensus on ugly, average, cute, and hot, even though societal opinions of what is attractive for a woman change over time. That's okay. So another excuse I have heard is that, well, that's just your way of trying to cloak how ugly the girls you have sex with. So if you know that the girls you're having sex with are ugly, you can't say they're 9s or 8s or 10s. So you have this like more amorphous, like cute, hot, whatever. It's a way of getting out of it. Incorrect. If I have sex with a woman who is hot, I'm going to say I had sex with a woman who is hot. Not cute, not average, hot. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about whether that is an 8 or a 9 or a 10, because again, that's fucking useless. You're not me. So I can say she's an 8 or a 7 or a 9 or a 10, and it's totally useless to you, because here's the other reason it's a problem. If I say, I fucked a girl last night, she was super hot, she's a 9. What will happen is you will conjure up a picture of what a 9 is to you, not a 9 to me. And so the woman you conjure up in your head that you think is a 9, I would probably consider a 7, or I might consider her a 10, right? So that's the problem. So no, it's not a way of getting out of anything. If a woman is hot, I'm going to say she's hot. If she's cute, because a lot of women I've had sex with over the course of my life, the last 15 years, Alpha Male 2.0, have been cute. They're not hot, but they're cute. Cute, cute girls. I'm going to say she's cute. I'm not going to say she's hot if she's not hot. I'm going to say she's cute. If she's average, and I don't really do that, but if she's average, then I'm going to say she's average. If she's ugly, I don't have sex with ugly girls, but okay, fine. I'm going to say she's ugly. Fine. By the way, there are plenty of guys out there, some of you, who have sex with average and ugly girls all the goddamn time. You guys have told me. Fine. Whatever. I'm not sitting here judging you guys. I'm just talking about the 1 to 10 scale versus the 4-level scale that I talk about. We're not trying to weasel out of anything. We just recognize that saying 9 or 8 or 10 is useless because you will not agree with that number if you saw that woman in real life, up or down. This is why there is no such thing as an objective 10, quote unquote. So I have seen guys on the internet say, well, you know, you can't say it's subjective. You're just kind of weaseling out of this. If you've never had sex with an objective 10, you're not a real pickup artist. You're not a real alpha male. You're not a real player. You're not a real, whatever term they want to use. There's no such thing as an objective 10. Whatever woman you think is your quote unquote objective 10 is a 10 to you. I might think she's a 10, but I might not. And other guys might think she's a 10, but a bunch of guys, I promise you, I bet $10,000 of my own money, a lot of the guys, more than 50% are going to say she's not a 10. Therefore, is it objective? No. Unless you say, well, I'm a genius and only I understand what makes women attractive, and everyone who disagrees with me is a moron and doesn't understand the science behind what makes women attractive. I've had a few dumbass guys say that on the internet. Whatever. I mean, people say, God, and people think I'm arrogant. Holy shit. I don't think that I am the final arbiter on what female attractiveness is. And I know you aren't either, because it's not possible, because as I said at the beginning of this podcast, we're all into different things. Matter of fact, years ago on one of my blogs, I did a survey, an unscientific survey, but I had thousands of responses, I think, or 100, I forget what I got. And I basically said, what to you is the hottest female body type? I showed pictures. And let's see if I can remember. There was curvy. There was an exaggerated curvy. There was athletic. So that would be like longer torso, less body fat, smaller boobs, smaller hips, but very physically fit. There was upside down pear, which means, you know, small, skinny, no hips, no ass, but big tits. Curvy would be big tits and big ass and big hips. Another one was skinny, so skinny but not athletic. Another one was what we call proportional. There's a few of them, and I asked guys, please let me know what your favorite is. Let me know what your favorite is. And you know what we found? I was shocked to find this because I like super curvy. Most men, the biggest category that people liked was curvy. Most guys, I don't know if it was most guys. It might have been a plurality of guys. The number I have in my head is 60%. I guess I could go look it up right now if I had time. I don't want to do that. But 60%, 50% liked curvy. But there were a bunch of guys who liked athletic. There were a bunch of guys who liked skinny, right? There were a bunch of guys who liked proportional. It was all over the goddamn map. And that's normal, and that's how men are. We all like different things. Therefore, the 1 to 10 scale doesn't make any goddamn sense. Now, one of the questions I've received on this, not an objection, more of a question. Well, Caleb, how do you describe a woman like within the range? So what if she's like really cute? Not quite up, but she's really cute. Well, then you say she's on the high end of cute. Fine, I've said that. I've said the high end of cute, low end of hot. That's fine. And again, guys say, well, you're back to the 1 to 10 scale again, because the high end of cute is 7.5. That's your opinion, man. That might not be other people's opinions, so no. You can say she's in the high end of cute or the low end of cute or whatever. You can say those things if you want. I think if you say on the low end of cute, you're bullshitting yourself, I think. But okay, fine, whatever, fine. So yes, you can have women inside these ranges. That's okay. You're still going to be better off saying a woman is on the high end of cute or low end of hot than saying this woman is an 8.2. Because 8.2 doesn't mean anything. So that's really it. I've ranted enough. Hopefully I have changed your mind on this. And hopefully I have maybe convinced you to, when you're communicating with other men, instead of saying she was a 7 or she was an 8 or just say she was cute or she was hot. Or be honest, if she was average, or God forbid, be honest, if she was ugly. Fine, say that. You don't have to assign numbers to them. That doesn't mean anything. Hopefully that's helped you. And hopefully that will also help you when you hear other men use these terms like I fucked a 7 or this celebrity is an 8. Hopefully I've changed your mind a little bit on this. And, you know, it's not a big deal. It's just an opinion I have. But I've just given you all the arguments and data points as to why I feel this way. You can't have a 1 to 10 system if men like different things. It's just not possible. And I'm also, one more thing. I am not saying that average, ugly, cute, hot is 100% accurate. You can get men who will, of course, disagree on whether or not a woman is cute or hot or cute or average. Yes, you'll still have some disagreement on that. I'm not saying it's 100% slam dunk. I'm saying, and I'm right, you're going to get a lot more consensus on this model, this 4-level model, than you will on the 1 to 10 scale. That's it, which makes it more useful than the 1 to 10 scale. That's it. I will see you next week. Have fun. Bye.